Hello and a warm welcome to Open Pali Live here on Open Pali. My name is Lynette Manzini. Thank you very much for joining us. In today's conversation, we're looking at the mid-term budget review that was presented by the Minister of Finance late July, that's 25 July 2024. I'm joined here by the CCC, that's the Citizens Coalition for Change, Shadow Finance Minister, who is also the MP for Mbizo constituency, Honorable Corban Madzivanyika. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Lynette.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you on the show. You know, you're the economist. You're going to tell us how the economy is doing. I'm sure we know from a layman's point of view, but you'll be giving us the rest of the gist. First things first, the Minister of Finance tabled the mid-term budget review in Parliament, and you didn't have an opportunity to debate this. What are your thoughts about you not debating this soon after? We know there was an outcry from the opposition. We saw it online. But talk to our viewers. What did you think about that?
Oh, thank you very much. I think what is important, Lynette, is that we were aware that Parliament was going to adjourn for close to 1 month and a week. And we wanted to debate the mid-term fiscal budget review statement as soon as it was so vivid and in the memories and the minds of our people. That was the reason why we actually fought to have it being debated before the adjournment.
But there's a school of thought that argues that after, tabling, MPs are supposed to go and study the document, then come back with an informed point of view and then debate. Why did you want to debate a document you did not know?
I think we were ready because when the minister presented it in Parliament with the document in soft copy, so we were ready to debate. And everyone was ready because the most important components of that debate, most legislators were ready to debate.
But is it not, didn't Parliament follow the procedure?
Yes, it could have followed the procedure, but the challenge was the time period, because it is important to debate such an important document as soon as it is promulgated.
So you are suggesting that when something is important, let's not follow procedure and debate it straight away.
Not as such, but we are saying the time that we are going to do, that we were supposed to take after adjournment was too long for such an important national economic statement. That's the reason why we wanted to be debated.
I hear you 100%. Yes. And we're now in September and still you have not yet discussed this. But it's better late than never, I suppose, because this is the budget that's taking us to throughout the rest of the year. But what's your overall assessment of this budget, of the midterm budget?
Yeah, thank you very much, Lynette. I think I will look at this budget in two sides, the expenditure development side as well as the revenue side. Because a budget is a statement of revenue and expenditure for a nation, put in layman terms. So I will start with the expenditure side, expenditure developments. What is important, Lynette, is not the vote allocations or the allocations that we have to the different ministries, but what is important is the disbursement matrix. What then really happens on the ground. You will find out that we have got other ministries which have already surpassed their vote allocation. For example, we've got the OPC, which has used about 91% of the vote allocation. We have the Ministry of Transport, which has used about 241% of the vote allocation. The Council of Chiefs, which have got about 190% of what was allocated to it. What does it mean? It means we have spent outside the limits as approved by Parliament. So what it literally means that the minister is going to reallocate expenditure. If it's not introducing a supplementary budget, it only means that the minister is going to reallocate, taking resources from other ministries to cater for the disparities caused or the over expenditure made by other ministries. And that is exactly what we never wanted in the first place, because if you look at the unallocated reserve, which was given, it was around 6 trillion in Zimbabwean dollars then, it has already been exhausted by such over expenditure that we have already witnessed. So this is why we always say that whenever you overspend, you should come back to Parliament for authorization.
For authorization. And are they not within their time limit? I mean, have they exhausted their time limit to come back to Parliament to report this over expenditure?
Yes, they are within their time limits of 60 days. But you know what happens, Lynette? It is important to understand that it's not the 6-day period that matters most. It is the rationality behind the expenditure that matters to the citizens. What has caused the 245% spending in the Ministry of Transport? People need to know. These are the most important issues. So we expect the minister, under normal circumstances, to spend within the confines or the limits provided by the law.
Yes. And just going back to that 246%. 246% expenditure in the Ministry of Transport.
Yes.
As an economist, what impression does this give you about the minister? Does it mean he under-allocated? Because I'm sure they knew that they were going to deal with the issue of roads.
Okay, thank you. I think these are unplanned expenditures that just come on board in a random and stochastic manner. This is what we don't want as an economist. You should be for a clearly defined platform, a clearly defined roles in what you expect to have as a minister. So it is my serious word that whenever you make budgets, you should make projections of what you need to do. And for you to spend 245% of what has been allocated to you before the end of the first half of the year, I think it's outrageous in defiance of logic.
I totally agree. Yes. So in case you're just joining us, you are tuning to Open Pali Live here on Open Pali. My name is Lynette Manzini, and joining me in the studio is Honorable Corban Madzivanyika. He is the CCC Shadow Finance Minister and MP for Mbizo constituency. And we're talking about the midterm budget review. Is it failing the people? That's what we want to find out. Let's look at a pro-poor perspective. I mean, we've heard of social justice activists talking about whether this budget is pro-poor. How does to what extent does this budget address issues to do with poverty reduction?
That is very important, Lynette. I think social protection, education, and health are very important indicators of growth or of development in any economy. So, if you look, let me start with the issue of the issue of health. A healthy nation is a productive nation. It's a productive workforce as well. So you realize that African presidents made commitments in Abuja to the effect that the 16%, actually to the effect that 15% of all government expenditure in terms of its budgets should be allocated to the Ministry of Health, so as to deal with the rising cases of HIV, AIDS prevalence, malaria, and other chronic ailments that affect our population. Number one. Number two, let's look at also, but you realize that in the Ministry of Health, 26% has been allocated so far to the Ministry of Health. Looking at the demands of health infrastructure in Zimbabwe, only 26% has been allocated. So that is a source of worry, to be honest with you, because how can such a vital institution get 26%, yet we don't have simple medicine in hospitals, the infrastructure is dilapidated, everything else is so bad and terrible.
It looks like a case of misplaced priorities.
Yes, that's very correct. So to me, it tells that the minister and the government at large are not concerned about the people, because it is the people who matter the most. They deserve a piece of this national cake. Let me give another example. African presidents also made commitments to the education initiative of 2000, where they indicated that at least 20% of the budget will be allocated to education. You know, the good thing about education, it is the greatest equalizer. It equalizes the poor and the rich. Once someone acquires some skills, he can change his or her life. But you realize that as of now, only 33% has been allocated to the Ministry of Education, both higher and tertiary education and the primary and secondary education. And what indication does it mean? When the Council of Chiefs are getting over 100% allocation, yet these are getting the 30%, a meager 33%.
You wonder what these Council of Chiefs are doing.
Yes.
That is so much important than the health care and education of the citizens.
That is very correct. And let's go also to the issue of social protection. Government should have programs that are designed to eradicate poverty and reduce vulnerability. There are people who are vulnerable. Give me examples of street kids, people who cannot fund themselves to school, the PIM facility, and all that. But you realize that the Ministry of Social Welfare got only about 6.8%
from January
up to date. What a meager contribution. And what does it mean? It means the vulnerable people of society are suffering. Yet the elite are enjoying the rest of the national cake. This is so unprogressive and so disturbing to
And
me.
I think what's very disturbing as well is that we also hear about mismanagement of resources. Yet there are these vulnerable groups that are not being considered, by those in government. I want us to move on to the issue of, growth itself.
Yes.
So, in 2023, the minister had budgeted that, would grow, the growth of the economy would grow by 3.5%.
Correct.
But during his midterm budget review, he reduced that to 2%.
That is correct.
And he's saying this is as a result of El Nino-induced drought. Can we say that the minister did not know that, didn't have the information about the drought then? And which sectors would you prioritize as a shadow minister in terms of reducing spending?
Oh, thank you very much. I think it is important to understand that the El Nino, what does it mean? I think it's very important to start from there. The El Nino phenomenon is a situation whereby there is warming in the Pacific waters. So what then happens is that the warming then creates a situation whereby the trade winds reverse in direction. So it normally happens after 1 to 7 years, between 1 to 7 years. So what then happens is that those circumstances create extreme weather conditions, such as when there's no rain, there's poor too much drought. When it rains a lot to cause maybe flooding and so forth. So this is what we call the El Nino phenomenon. They were aware of this El Nino phenomenon when they made the projections of economic growth of 3.5% last year. The reneging is as a result of the reality that they cannot reach those targets. I don't really want to labor myself on the issue of the El Nino phenomenon, but also industry is not doing well generally. The capacity utilization is still very low, just about 50%, 52%, if I'm not mistaken, according to the official figures. So there are a whole lot of issues that need to be addressed if we want to grow this economy.
Let's talk about those issues that need to be addressed.
Yes.
I think they're very important because if we only have capacity utilization of 50 or less than 50%, that is a real problem.
That is very correct. There are many issues. Let me just start by introducing the very important ones. We don't have the infrastructure that supports economic growth. What do I mean? We cannot have economic growth without electricity, for example. The issue of power. Look at Wange.
Thermal power stations.
Yes, I want to go there. Look at Wange 186. It's always breaking down. It's outdated and dilapidated. Look at Wange 7 and 8. It is always, it's not producing at full capacity. Look at the Kariba hydroelectric power generation. It has been seriously affected by water levels. So what does it mean? Our national demand for power is 1,800 megawatts as of now. But our productive capacity is far much below that. And what does it then mean? It then means we don't have income, we don't have inputs for industrial development, no manufacturing, because when there is no ZESA, literally most industries, they rely on power. So even service industry, they rely on power. Even this studio don't have power, you cannot talk to me.
We don't have power as you speak, we're actually using solar.
Thank you very much. So those are what I've been trying to say, that the infrastructure should be available, should support productivity. For example, we have got problems in agriculture. We are talking of the El Nino phenomenon. It should be a thing of the past. Once we create infrastructure, for example, we build dams. We should ensure that we irrigate our crops during the time of drought. We use irrigation, and we try to compensate the import substitution of imports by doing so. So it is important to have a proper infrastructure.
But are dams really the solution, given that we're always having less rainfall? How will we fill up these dams?
Yes, if we've got less rainfall this year, it doesn't mean that next year, if we've drought next year after having good rain this year, we can use the water from the previous years to irrigate our crops. So we don't have to be caught pens down always. Okay. Like to always blame this El Nino phenomenon for lack of economic growth. Blame. I'm saying let us also look at ourselves and how best can we improve our economy without blaming the external environment.
And El Nino. So what I'm getting from you is the government knew about the El Nino issue,
Yes.
and it has become a constant in our daily lives.
That's correct.
What we need to do is to plan around it. How do
That is
we
correct.
fortify
That is
social protection, industry, and issues like that?
That is
And
correct.
what about the policies themselves? Yes, you say that there are issues that need to be dealt with, issues to do with infrastructure.
Yes.
But what about the economic policies? Are they helping to aid this?
Yeah. The government of late has been on a drive of a tight fiscal and monetary policy. Yes, I know their concerns. Their concerns are to address inflation and exchange rate volatility. But look, there's need to bring a balance between a tight fiscal policy. Because a tight fiscal policy means there is little money, there's little government spending, constrained monetary supply. You see, the idea is that we have to limit liquidity in the market. And what is the implication? The implication is that business does not grow.
That's why many businesses
Yes,
are mourning.
yes, that's very correct. So you need to have that optimum, that balance between a tight fiscal policy and monetary policy, as well as the desire to have economic growth.
How would you really balance it? Because history has shown us that the issue around currency issues have always been our problem. Exchange rate volatility.
Yes.
Look at the exchange rate right now
Yes.
between the official rate
Yes.
and the black market. How would you balance that as the shadow minister? What's your
All right.
alternative?
Yeah, I won't just balance it as a one policy. It's a whole lot of policies that need to be addressed. It's a whole lot of issues that need to be addressed. So the totality of those issues, those policies will work together for the good of Zimbabwe. Let me talk about the issue of currency that you're talking about, the exchange rate volatility. You see, the current journey of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, to me, is the same as the old journey. In what way? In the sense that we've always been complaining that please let the market determine its own exchange rate. Please float the exchange rate to ensure that market force of demand and supply determine the exchange, so that no one loses out of it, so that people accept any currency of choice. Right now, they are always managing the exchange rate, and they make us to believe that the exchange rate is floated. It's not floated, of course, because if it was floated, the difference between the parallel market rate and the formal rate should be very minimal, should be very small. But this difference of close to 90%, because if you look at the official rate, it's trading at 13.8 to the US dollar, but on the parallel market is trading at around 23, maybe up to a maximum of 30 to the US dollar. So what does it mean? It means the premium is almost close to 100%. And that is a dangerous precedence.
I hear you. And talking about the ZiG itself, how has it been performing? Because they said it's a gold-backed currency, backed by gold and United States dollar, and it's going to bring about stability. How has it performed? It was introduced in April.
Thank you very much. I think let's start with the word gold-backed or asset-backed currency. It is important, Lina, to understand what it means to say an asset is backing a currency. When we say an asset is backing a currency, you are literally saying whenever an economic agent is not sure of the currency itself, that economic agent should look at the backing. In this case, the ZiG is said to be backed by foreign currency, which is predominantly the US, and a group of minerals, which is predominantly gold, including also platinum and other minerals. So I'm saying, if the currency is backed for sure, if I am in doubt, I should just go into a bank and get my US dollars, because it is backed. That is the fundamental understanding of backed currencies. Right now, as we sit right now, companies are failing to get enough forex for their import requirements, even after presenting legitimate invoices and so forth to the RBZ and these traditional banks. They don't have sufficient foreign currency. So you cannot bake anything with nothing and pretend as if you are baking anything. That is so. That's why we are seeing these premiums. All the companies are just rushing for cheap forex from RBZ because it is managed. This is what we don't want. We want a situation where the market determines everything, and the economic agents should trade freely without any distortions.
And also, what's your long-term vision as the CCC? You become you take over government tomorrow. What's your long-term vision for the economy?
Yeah, our long-term vision for the economy, it starts from proper governance. We have seen a lot of governance challenges in this country. The recent Auditor General reported, many other Auditor General reports previously, they've been pointing to the issue of corporate governance malpractices that has been taking place in our institutions, ministries, departments, and agencies without any recourse from anyone. So the first that we're going to deal with is the issue of corporate governance. It's very important. We need to put a very clear framework which does not support or condone corruption. So that's the first. Secondly, we need to deal with the debt question. If you look at our debts right now, it's embarrassing, isn't it? Only last year in 2023 December, our debt was around 17 or 18 billion US dollars, both the domestic and the external debt. But as of now, our debt has ballooned to 21 billion US dollars. What does it mean? If we should understand what is that which has created this ballooning of the debt. Under our circumstances, Zimbabwe has given Mutapa Investment Fund 1.6 billion US dollars in terms of purchasing the 35% shareholding in Mutapa. And if you look at Mutapa, if you say purchasing 35% of shareholding is equivalent to 1.6 billion, therefore, what does it mean with the total value of Mutapa? It means the total value of Mutapa, if you do your mathematics, the total value of Mutapa will go to 4.6 billion, which is close to 10% or 15% of our national budget, or of our gross domestic product. And that such kind of situations, it's not the debt that matters. It is where the money is being spent. Secondly, they went on to say we're going to recapitalize Mutapa to the tune of 1.9 billion. So in total, it's the 1.9 billion plus 1.6 billion, which was used to purchase a 35% shareholding from Kuimba Mining House. So what does it mean? We are having a debt of 3.5 billion from Norway. Right? What is important is not borrowing, is what is that money going to be used for? Look at Mutapa. There are no proper checks and balances because the law, the SI actually prevents Parliament from oversight. It prevents the operation of the procurement regulations. So what does it mean? It means we are putting money into a debt container. We don't even know what's going to happen there, what's going to happen there. While you are putting such kind of money in that, it's a cause for concern for me as a legislator and largely as a shadow minister of finance. I think it's important for financial accountability and transparency in the management of public finances in Zimbabwe.
I hear you there, but I want you to tell our viewers how you would balance borrowing and domestic resource mobilization to avert this debt crisis, because we're already in a crisis. You take over tomorrow. How would you balance that?
I want to assure you that we've got enough domestic resources for supporting our fiscal, our recurrent expenditure. It's only that the money is going to be used, is the application where the money is going to be used that matters. Right now, I'm being told that 1.7 billion was used for the construction of roads. And you wonder, we need proper disclosure. So in terms of balancing, it is important to understand that you cannot fund capital projects using domestically mobilized resources, especially most developing countries. So what is very important is to deal with the debt question first. As soon as we are in government, we will try by all means to find ways of resolution to our debt. In what way? We've got many mechanisms of resolving the debt. There is a debt cancellation, it's another alternative.
But is that a good strategy? Because if debt cancellation shows that you are a bad debtor.
Yeah, but there's this principle that Zimbabweans did not borrow. Are you getting where I'm coming from? Zimbabweans did not borrow. It is the government elites that borrowed.
But is that
yes, I want you to understand that. Yes, I understand it's Zimbabwe, it's in the context of Zimbabwe. But it's not Zimbabwe that is borrowed. Why should they say so? The majority of money which was borrowed has not been put to high impact economic projects. If it was going to be put on a high income impact economic projects, we could have seen a lot of change in this economy. So the truth of the matter should be told. That look, guys, it's not the Zimbabweans who borrowed this money. Yes, we are in debt as a country, in courts, but it's not the Zimbabweans who borrowed this money. Kindly forgive us. It's another way of dealing with debt. There are many ways of resolution of our debt. One of them, Zimbabwe has been presented with an opportunity to resolve the debt crisis, was the high-level structural dialogue platform, which was offered by IMF, facilitated by African Development Bank, where Zimbabwe has been given the opportunity to find ways or to normalize relations with the international creditors. But they've squandered the opportunity. They are told, no, go back and do democratic elections. They don't want. Go back and respect the rule of law. They don't want. Recently, we've got the people who have been arrested and detained for no reason, only be told that you did not commit a crime where the private residence is not a public place. The case of Timber and others.
Does that affect our economy in any way?
Definitely it affects. Because whenever you're having problems with political governance or governance, it actually translates to the economy. Why? Let me give an example. Whenever there is lawlessness in governance, it translates to the economy. Look at what is happening to the violent land takeovers. Yes, we appreciate the land was supposed to not ours. It belongs to Zimbabweans, and honestly, they took the land by force from us. But look, there are improvements on that land. Can we at least pay for those improvements? So you see, that on its own.
Is the Second Republic not doing that now?
No, it doesn't. It's just a commitment, but nothing has been done on the ground. Because it's one thing to make a commitment, it's another to fulfill that commitment.
I like that you brought that up, and I want to talk to you as opposition. You are the shadow minister. Yes. You bring up all these issues. We thank you for raising all the red flags, ringing all the alarm bells. But what are you doing with this information? Because if you continuously complain, how does that help the economy to improve?
Oh, yeah, that's very correct. I understand where you're coming from. It's unfortunate that I'm not in the executive. And there's little that I can do to influence economic activity while I'm a shadow minister of finance. It is the government, the executive, that have got the mandate to do the running of the country. But what I encourage this government and the rest of progressive Zimbabweans, we have got only one Zimbabwe. And it's a time to unite and save our country from this economic mess that we're seeing ourselves under.
If this is your standpoint,
yes,
that we need to come together,
yes,
whatever happened to engaging the government of the day? And because when I moderated
yes,
midterm budget review,
yes,
where the minister was supposed to appear, but unfortunately he didn't, the permanent yes, secretary was there. They said they have an open door policy. They are open to, what do you call it, criticism. What do you call it? Not just criticism, but let me say progressive, for lack of a better word. Okay. What are you doing as opposition to engage them, not just in parliament, so that we can unite as a people and ensure that our economy develops?
Oh, thank you. It's good to unite. It's good to have dialogue on the way forward in terms of addressing the challenge that our country is facing. But we need genuine dialogue. It's one thing to say, let's dialogue, and it's the other to say, let's dialogue in this manner. You see, dialogue takes two to tango or more. So it's not a one-sided issue. If I say we need to dialogue, we also need both sides to meet together for the good of our country. We saw in 2009, when the crisis was resolved through dialogue, and with the global political agreement, the lives of people was changed. To be honest, people lived better than before. So this is the thrust that we need. We've got the one Zimbabwe. People should come on the table to dialogue, especially the big brothers in terms of the political climate.
Who are these big
brothers?
Who is
the obvious President Nelson Chamisa and Mr. Mnangagwa. So they should just join together to have a debate on how best they can take this country forward together.
Who sets the parameters? Who calls who to the dialogue table?
Yes, right now I'm on interview, and I'm calling for dialogue. We should expect
so the shadow minister is calling for dialogue.
Yes, that's very correct. Because to me, it's not good to be a politician who just go to parliament and do that. No. I'm a politician who is concerned about the welfare of our people. And it's better to see our people doing well than being in positions of power. No, that's not good. Our concern is our people.
You come from Mbizo, it's a mining
Yes.
community,
That's
and
correct.
as we conclude this program, what should we do to ensure that we are benefiting from the mining process? We are endowed with vast mineral resources, but are the poorest of the poor. We have millions of people who are food insecure owing to the El Nino. We have people, almost depending on which article you're reading, 60 to 80% of people who are unemployed, who are in the informal sector. What do we need to do to ensure that we benefit from the mining resources?
Yeah, the biggest challenge that we have from our mining resources, Lynette, is the issue of smuggling of our mineral resources. Zimbabwe is endowed with many minerals. Yes, under the circumstances, some of the minerals are mineral prices, particularly in the PGM category. When I'm saying PGM, I'm saying the platinum group of minerals. The rhodium, the palladium, they are facing sharp international price decline. But we have got gold, which is on the uptake, which is gone about 2,500 per ounce. So we are saying it is the resources of our minerals that can shape the future of our country in terms of export receipts. Unfortunately, Lynette, the majority of our gold has been smuggled to Asian countries, South Africa, many other countries, and the nation doesn't see the process. Number one, the nation does not enjoy the process. In terms of royalties and taxes, we collect nothing for what has been smuggled. And you know what those people do? To clean their money, they use very dubious methods. They may not bring cash directly to Zimbabwe. They can bring fuel and other things to Zimbabwe as a payment for the gold that has been. So that is a cause for concern. If we can deal with the issue of smuggling of our minerals, I think it will help us. But if you look, you will realize that it goes all the way, long way, to the governance crisis, the lawlessness, the lack of respect for human rights, for political
back to
rights.
the issues that
Yes,
we're
it's
talking
a
about.
complex of all of things.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I'd like to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
There you have it, viewers. That was Honorable Corban Madzivanyika. He is the Mbizo constituency MP and the CCC, that's the Citizens Coalition for Change, Finance Shadow Minister. And he was talking to us about the midterm review and how it's not people-centric, and also how he's raised concern about how some ministries have already overspent without Parliament approval. Is the midterm budget people-centric? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section. Until next time, my name is Lynette Manzini. Goodbye.